In this video, I'll show you how to create your customer detail page, or I think Mendix calls it a view edit page. First, let's go to our design and review what it's going to look like. Okay, and from our design, we have our customer list with the name and phone. We just built that. We're going to add to our list screen a button that will go ahead and add a customer. And when you click on that button, it will take you to this detail screen or this view edit screen, where we can then enter in the customer first name, their last name, their phone, their email, their address, and their birth date. We'll also add to this customer list an edit button. So from the list, if you want to go in and view any of this detail or change any of this detail, you would click on that edit button. All right, let's go ahead and build that next. Open up your Studio Pro. And I'm here on my customer list page. If you don't have this open already, come out to your My First Module, customer list, double click on it, and you'll be double click on it to open up the customer list page. Okay, the first thing we're going to do then is we're going to add that add button so that we can create a new customer. So come on up towards the top. Go ahead and just select the title. And we want to select the column that this text is in. So I'm going to use my breadcrumb and I'm going to select the column. And what we want to do is we want to add a second column out here to the right. So I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to add a column to the right. And this is where I'm going to put my add button. Now, I don't really want these equally spaced. I just want my add button to be over here on the edge. So how Mendix sets up the structure of its pages, in terms of its vertical space, it will sort of run forever, right? So like this customer list page can go on and then you can load more. In terms of the width, though, it's set up into like 12 units or 12 blocks. So what we want to tell Mendix is this column here that we just added, it just defaulted to 50-50. But what we want to tell it is we want it only to take up one of those 12 blocks. So double click on column. And we want the width to be manually set. And see how the desktop size is set to 1 or set to defaults to 6. We want to set it to 1. And if our app is being used on a tablet, we also want that to be 1. And if it's on a phone, we also want that to be 1. And anything that we put in here, we want to align it. Let's go ahead and just align it to the center. Well, or maybe the top. I don't know. We can try and see what looks best. Let's try center to start with. Center. And say, okay. So now we can see that our column size has been reduced, and that's where our add button is going to go. So let's go find an add button. So I'm going to come into my widgets, and I'm going to search. I'm just going to see all the different types of buttons that are out there. I'm going to use the create button or create new customer. Drag and drop it in. And then we're going to tell it that we're creating a new customer. So we're going to come down to My First Module and we're going to select customer. And this then tells Mendix, hey, when you write the underlying code, when the user clicks this button, go and add a new row out to that customer table. So select customer. And now let's make this look a little prettier. We're going to double click on this button. And the caption, you can leave it new, or you can change it to add. Well, maybe new's fine. Icon, I like to put a little plus button out there. And I like to use these glyphicons. The plus, select. The button style, I like to use success. That'll put a green background in there. Kind of highlights the button a little bit. And we can see here then in my events, on click action, we're going to create an object. What object are we creating? A new customer. We also then need to show that customer new edit page, right? So that we can put in all the details, the customer first name, last name, email, phone, etc. So we need to configure that page. So we're going to click the select button here. And it shows the pages we have, but we need a brand new page. So we're going to click new. And you can see by default, it goes ahead and it names it customer new edit. And actually that's a great page name. So I'm going to leave that. The navigation layout. Now this is important. You want to choose here to be a pop-out layout. This is part of the grading. If you don't choose pop-up, you get some points taken out. Now again, this is going to be a form, and you can choose actually any one of these is fine. I prefer the form horizontal is the one that I like, but you could choose any of these. Choose form horizontal, and we'll say okay. And okay. All right, so now you can see our new button right there. Let's go have a look at that customer new edit page. You can see it's created that new page out here. If I double click on it, we can see that Mendix automatically just took all of our data from the database for that customer and put it out here. It's configured it so that we have a label, first name, and then the input field, that's where the user is going to type in the first name. You can change these if you want. So for example, maybe Hannah's looking at this and says, you know, addresses are usually a little bit bigger than, you know, have 3 lines. So let's go ahead and configure this input area to be a little bit bigger than just a single line. So Mendix actually has 2 different types of, or sort of styles, two different styles for its input areas. The default is a text box, and that pretty much always works. But if we go ahead and we right click on this and we say convert to a text area, it'll give us more of that look and feel that we're looking for. The other thing, when Hannah was looking at the screen, she thought birth date was maybe not as user friendly. She wants to call this birthday, so we can change the label. Go ahead and double click. And we can see the label right here. We're going to just change that to birthday and say, okay. On the top of the screen, the title of the screen, Hannah's not too big on the all uppercase. So again, just double click on that. And in the name, in the title, you can go ahead and put something different there. Customer details. Now, as one final thing that we need to do is, let's go back to our customer list screen. And remember that we said, if we go back to our design, we just did the add button. We set up this screen right here. we need to do this edit button. So if we come back to Mendix right here, we have our customer list. If we come back to our customer list screen, we can see that by default, it kind of comes with this little button right here. So let's go ahead and configure that button right there to be our view edit button. So I'm going to double click on that. And just having the little the little chevron right icon, I think it needs to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to actually add some words to it. I'm going to call this view edit. And we can keep that little icon on. So for the events, what we want is if the user clicks on it, we want to go to that customer new edit page. So on click, we want it to show a page. And which page do we want? That customer new edit. We don't have to create it because we've already created that page, so we can just select it. And I'd like to highlight the button a little bit with a style. So if I go to my appearance, and then under render mode, I want this to look like a button and not a link. And the button style, I'm going to use info, I think. I could use the success, but maybe I'll use info. Let's see how that looks. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and test this out.